Welcome back. The movie Oppenheimer has hit the theaters, and many of you would have already watched the movie. For those of you who have not watched the movie, you would have definitely watched its trailer in YouTube and also looked into its movie reviews. Now, after viewing all these videos in YouTube, you would have noticed the subsequent suggested videos were all about Oppenheimer. Now, how did YouTube understand that you were interested in Oppenheimer, the man behind the atomic bomb? Let's get to know about that analytics in a few seconds.
3, 2, 1.
So what is big data? Big data means extremely large collections of data that are analyzed to reveal patterns. Now, when you were searching for the movie Oppenheimer in YouTube, your search history was being recorded, and not only of yours, of each and every person that has watched a YouTube video, which means that the data that YouTube handles on a particular day is itself really large. That is the meaning of the sentence, extremely large collections of data. And these are getting analyzed to reveal patterns. That is, whether you are searching for the same topic over and over again to understand your likes and interest. Based on that, YouTube will suggest videos so that there is a high chance that you will click on those videos. Now, is YouTube the only platform where big data analytics takes place? Take a look at this. Now, before we get into these scandals, let's start from the basics first so that you will get a clear-cut understanding of what exactly happened. So let's start from the scratch, the sources of big data. So the first source of big data is the social data. This includes the data coming from the social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, etc. All the likes, the videos, comments, everything is data. And this data is actually valuable data because we can understand the consumer's tastes and preferences by establishing a pattern from this data. Now, the second source of big data is the machine data. This is basically data from machines or sensors. Now, majority of you would have used a Fitbit, the fitness tracker that monitors your health, like your heart rate, the calories burnt, etc. It is because of the sensors that are available in Fitbit that the heart rate, etc. can be monitored. Now, there are many more sensory devices that can monitor your body temperature, the ECG and the respiration rate, your blood pressure, etc. So it enables a real-time monitoring of your vital signs. Now, all these real-time data gets transferred by way of a mobile app to the cloud. What do you mean by cloud? Cloud is nothing but remote servers. The data is further stored and it is again analyzed and it again goes back to the cloud, and these patient health report is sent to the doctor and the doctor can give his valuable advice. The real-time data of individual patients along with his electronic health records can be studied for an entire population, and patterns can be established to analyze the disease trends and outbreaks. So what we just saw is the big data that was coming in from the healthcare sector. Now, another area from where the big data is coming from is the automotive sector. Now, I'll give you a very simple example of how big data is used in the automotive sector. Now, just visualize that you are driving your car in a heavy downpour. You have got limited visibility and you cannot see the footpath or the median. And you take a sharp turn and accidentally your wheel hits the footpath. It gets deflected back into the road. There were no cars or people close to you and you drive back home. So you presume that nothing happened to the car. But unfortunately, this caused a slight deviation in the wheel alignment of your car. If you do not find any major difference while you're driving, you wouldn't take your car to the service center, right? And say it is only after 6 months that the service is due. And when you take the car to the service center, they say that because of an improper wheel alignment, all your tires are worn out and it has to be replaced. And replacement of tires is definitely expensive. Now, take the situation if you had sensors in your car. That is, the sensors would regularly detect whether all the parts of the car are functioning properly. So if you had sensors, when the car hit the footpath, you would have automatically known that there is improper wheel alignment without waiting for 6 months to take the car to the service center. And you would have immediately got the car repaired. Now, even if there was no accident, the sensors in the car collect data about the oil pressure, the engine temperature, etc. And patterns are analyzed for this data. And what is the use of establishing a pattern? This current performance can be compared with these established patterns, and it is very easy for a car mechanic or the car owner to predict possible issues even before the actual breakdown occurs. So what we just saw is the big data in the automotive sector. Now, these sensors could be used in the business field also. That is, machinery can be equipped with sensors to detect early signs of breakdowns. Now, these machines or sensors which are connected to the internet is known by a name, and the name is Internet of Things devices. Now let's move on to the third source of big data, and that is the transactional data. These are mainly transactions which are undertaken by organizations. Example, the e-commerce purchases that you do from Amazon. Now, whenever you buy a particular item from Amazon, say you buy a home decor item, then immediately your suggested items will include home decor items in the subsequent searches. That is because Amazon always does a big data analytics based on your transaction history. Now, it is not only business giants like Amazon which can do big data analytics. Even a supermarket can do big data analysis from the data collected from the customers' loyalty cards. So basically, it will contain the transaction history. And if they can establish a pattern, that is those items that are regularly purchased by a particular customer, then they can give targeted ads to those customers based on this analysis. That is, there are discounts for such and such products and so on. So it is not always the data which is stored in the internet that can be part of the big data analytics. Even internal information of a supermarket can be analyzed for patterns to understand the consumer tastes and preferences. Now, with your background understanding about big data, it is very easy for you to understand the benefits of big data. Let's take a look at those. The first benefit of big data is that it is useful in many sectors. We've already seen that in the health sector, it enables real-time patient monitoring. The second sector in which the big data is useful is the automotive sector. We already saw that it aids in preventive maintenance. Now, big data analytics can aid in finding empty parking slots. This is a part of the smart city applications. That is, gradually the Internet of Things are being deployed on a large scale, which means that in the coming years, all the parking slots will be equipped with sensors. And when a car arrives a particular area, it will get indications as to where there are empty parking slots. The third sector where big data is useful is the financial sector. It aids banks in risk assessment. It is very easy to assess the creditworthiness of potential borrowers with the big data analytics. We can get an idea about their income, their debt levels over a period of time. So it is very easy to understand the risk that the bank takes if the loan is given to a particular person. And it also helps in fraud detection. That is credit card spending outside the typical pattern. Now, I usually use my credit card in India. So that is my typical pattern. And if I go abroad for a holiday without informing the credit card issuers, and if I use the credit card in a foreign country, there is high likelihood that the credit card will get suspended because it is not conforming to my typical spending pattern, because I always spend in India. When a credit card transaction is initiated from a foreign country, then immediately the big data analytics will throw up that transaction as a possible fraudulent transaction. So all this is happening only because of big data analytics. So it is very important that we inform the credit card issuers that we are traveling abroad, either by way of that mobile app or online or over phone, so that our card will not be temporarily suspended when we are in a foreign country. The next benefit of big data is that it results in improved productivity. Companies can monitor data from their machines to determine the usage and wear. This is basically because of the sensors, just like preventive maintenance that we did for cars. And it can also monitor the transport fleet by managing idle time. Again, because of the sensors placed in the vehicles. And the third benefit is it creates greater competitive advantage and it results in innovation. Organizations can gain insight into the customer behavior and preferences through big data analytics. So those were the benefits of big data. Now moving on to the dangers of big data. So let's get back to the scandal that we saw in the intro. Now, before I explain the Cambridge Analytica scandal, I will give you a situation. Just assume that you are seated in a restaurant and one person comes and tells you, I will pay your bill if you can share all your personal information with me. So what would you reply? You would definitely tell him to mind his own business and that you're capable of paying the bill on your own, right? But if the same situation comes in Facebook, I doubt whether you will act in a similar way. Let's take a look. So you're seeing this in your mobile. This is your digital life and it's a personality quiz. You will receive $4 as Amazon gift card for participating. To take the survey, you must log on to Facebook. We may use some of your data, likes, friends list, etc. We shall ensure that your data stays safe. Now, if you see this in your mobile, what will you do? Will you accept or reject it? You might think twice because you know that a scandal is coming up. But the facts of the case is that 50 million people in the US clicked the accept button and they completed the personality quiz. So the personality quiz is very simple. Simple questions like, I keep myself updated at all times. So you will have to select your option. Strongly disagree, neutral, agree, or strongly agree. Or the questions may be like, and again, you will have to click the option that best suits your personality. Pretty innocent app, right? Now I will show you what is happening in the back end when the accept button was clicked. Your personality quiz results, along with your Facebook likes, your Facebook profile, your Facebook comments, your browsing data, everything is getting collected as big data. And big data analytics is being done and individual profiles are being created, which includes your name, age, place, gender, profession, your personality type, your intelligence level, your political views, whether you favor the Democrats or the Republicans or you're neutral, your religious views, your interests or your concerns or your apprehensions. So the people who are behind the survey could get the individual profiles of more than 50 million people because even their friends' details were getting collected in the process. And the firm which was behind this was Cambridge Analytica, and that was a political consulting firm which was helping Donald Trump in his political campaigns. So you might wonder, with all these individual profiles, what are they going to do? What they are going to do is all these individual profiles will be grouped under different heads, and the people belonging to each head are targeted with a different political ad. And this is known as micro targeting. Now, if you have been grouped under the head or category of parents concerned about the child care cost, then you would be shown this ad, tax deductible child, which means that you get a tax credit or a deduction from tax for the child care costs that you are incurring. And you will have to join Team Trump, or you will have to vote for Donald Trump for this tax deductible child to be implemented. So now, if you are a parent concerned about the child care cost, won't you feel happy? Won't you feel the inclination to vote for Donald Trump? Now, if you belong to the category of the African American community, then the ads that would be shown to you in Facebook would be something like this. Hillary Clinton, 1996. They are often the kinds of kids called the super predators, no conscience, no empathy. So this was from a speech delivered by Hillary Clinton in support of a crime bill that was passed during the presidential rule of her husband, Bill Clinton. Now, the crimes were committed by the African American youth. So, in her speech, when she referred to the African American youth as super predators, then it was considered as racist because it was considered as a direct attack against the entire African American community. Though she referred only the criminals as super predators, you know how the opposition will take these words. They will definitely take it out of context and they will paint a picture that she has referred the entire African American community as super predators. And during the election campaign, you know what Donald Trump did? He actually named an ad Predators, and it was continuously shown in Facebook to the African American community because his database already contained a list of people who belonged to the African American community. If I belong to the African American community, and continuously, if this ad is shown, even though we are well informed that she referred to only the criminals, we might actually get offended. Now, we all know the end result. Trump won the election. It was only subsequently that an employee of this Cambridge Analytica firm disclosed the fact that they had resorted to micro-targeting from the data harvested from the Facebook profiles without the users actually knowing that there was leakage of their personal information and it was getting used for the political campaigns of Trump. Now, when this was brought to light, Facebook faced a lot of backlash. The hashtag delete Facebook was trending for quite some time. Its share prices dropped. Now, it is still unclear of how much of this micro-targeting has affected the election results because it is very difficult to quantify because it is based on each person's personality of whether they had changed their decision based on this micro-targeting. But as a fact, we know that there has been a leakage of information from Facebook. So this is one of the main dangers of the big data analytics. So the first risk or dangers of big data is data protection. Privacy violations may lead to regulatory breaches. So this is what has happened with Facebook. Now, the second danger is security of data. Now, in the case of Facebook, users had actually clicked an accept button, but there could be cases where hackers steal the data. So that is the second point, security of data. Measures should be taken to protect the data from unauthorized access, use, modification, or destruction. The third danger is availability of skills. Systems are rapidly developing and support, that is, data analysis skills with deep understanding of the industry is not easily available. Data scientists are not in plenty, and if the data analytics is not done in a proper way, then it might not add any value. Cost. Expensive hardware and analytical software is required for big data analytics. And there could also be organization-specific challenges. Because of the high velocity. What do you mean by velocity? Velocity is the speed with which the data is coming in. Volume is the large quantity of this big data. And variety. What do you mean by variety? Now, this big data is not something that you find in a tabular format. It could be a video, it could be an audio, it could be a text, it could be a like, it could be a comment. So the variety of big data is immense. And to generate real-time information that adds value is difficult. We don't want the information after 1 month. We need real-time information. Only then the data will be useful. So these were the dangers of big data. Now let's move on to the characteristics of big data. Now the characteristics of big data can be termed as the 5 V's. The first V is velocity. It means that the speed with which the big data is coming in. The second V is volume. That is a huge quantity of big data. The third characteristic is variety. That is, data can be structured, semi-structured, or unstructured data. Structured data are usually found in table formats, like data coming in from banks, the date of the transaction, and the debits and credits. So it is all coming in a tabular format. That's structured data. Now, unstructured data means any comments, likes, that's not in a particular format. And semi-structured is somewhere in between the structured and the unstructured data. So the explanation is given here. Data could be text, audio, images, video files, etc. The fourth V is veracity. Veracity means there should be accuracy of the big data. Now, if you're taking an audio, because of the pronunciation differences or slang, so there is high chance that there could be inaccuracies, which is actually a challenge. But the big data that any organization collects should be accurate. Only then it can give meaningful information. And the fifth and the last V is value. Added value that big data can bring for companies. Now, just by collecting big data is not enough. It should add value to the company. So that is also a characteristic of big data. Now, you know that data analytics is the processing of big data. That's a very broad term that includes the data cleaning, because all the data might not be good data. Now, in this broad concept of data analytics, I want you to understand the meaning of two terms. One is data mining and the other one is predictive analytics. Let's take a look at the definitions. Now, the big data analytics includes data mining. Now, data mining is analyzing the data to identify the patterns and correlations. So that's a very specific area. If you want an example, in the case of Netflix, what it does is it clusters the groups of users who watch similar content. So that is an example of data mining. That is, they are establishing a pattern between the users and they are grouping the similar users together. Now, the second term that I want you to understand is predictive analytics. Predictive analytics, it's actually a type of data mining which aims to predict the future events. So here the aim is to predict the future events. Now, we can take the very same example of Netflix. Now, if a user consistently watches crime drama, then based on algorithms, Netflix will predict that the user might be interested in the newly released crime drama series, and it will display it on the user's homepage. So whenever there is a prediction involved, it is known as predictive analytics. So here we come to an end of the session, Big Data Analytics. I hope you have understood the various applications of the big data analytics, its benefits and its risks. Now, before we wind up, let's move on to the final recap.